Good morning. Today, as we have become used to on a Thursday, we delve back into the archives of Westhouse School. And I have gone as far back as the school magazine of 1967. Because 1967 is an important year in the school's history. And I read to you first of all this morning from that magazine under the heading Westhouse Old Boys Association. On the 22nd of January of this year, being 1967, the inaugural meeting of the Westhouse Old Boys Association was held in the headmaster's room at the school. At this meeting, it was apparent that there was sufficient support for the association to continue to function on a more formal basis. A committee was appointed. Elected would be too strong a word, consisting for the most part of the conveners of the meeting. The chairman is Davidson Gordon, whose idea it was initially to form the association, and who had been responsible up to this meeting for rallying support. The other members who were pressed into service are Richard Hardwick, George Meredith, Dougal Pottinger, Michael Pratt, and Richard Wallace. And so it continues about how that meeting was drawn together. It is a measure of this school that the chairman, Davidson Gordon, is now our president. It is a measure of this school that Richard Hardwick, who was there at that meeting, still appears at every single AGM of the Westhouse Old Boys Association. And it is a measure of this school and how far it spreads its wings, that as I stood on a cricket pitch yet again a couple of years ago, I met a young man who said, I live in Devon, I've just moved to Harborne, I think my father went to Westhouse School, his name was George Meredith. And so that tells something of the story of this school, at least in recent history. And one of the first things the Westhouse Old Boys Association did was enlist the services of one Mr. F.J. Tidd Pratt, who had previously been assistant master of the school, to design an old boys tie. And we have three old boys ties in existence: the traditional old boys tie, the centenary old boys tie from 1995, and then a new addition, the 125th anniversary tie, which is in the final stages of its production. And all of the old boys ties carry a shield. And on that shield, there are three emblems representing the three houses of the school. Once upon a time, there was a fourth house, the Meads, but unfortunately the Meads went into terminal decline, and unfortunately the fourth house became extinct shortly after the school returned from Millichoke Park. And so we now have our three houses today: the Persians, the Trojans and the Spartans, and the emblems that appear on the old boys tie represent those three houses. Today I'm going to tell you one of the stories behind one of those emblems, and in future assemblies, so I'm fair to every single house, because of course, even though I was a Persian, I'm totally impartial, we will tell the stories of the other two. So, shall we start with the Persians? Right. The Persian story and the story behind the Persian emblem. The Dolphin Hero. In the year 530 BC, there ruled a high and mighty king named Cyrus. He was the ruler of the Persian Empire, which stretched for many miles. Cyrus was a great warrior and had conquered every nation he knew, save one, which lay over a great sea. He suddenly felt the desire to conquer it, as he had a vision of its riches. So a great war fleet set sail, with every man clad in newly smelted armour. For many days and many nights they sailed onward, till they knew not where they were. All was not lost, for early one morning they saw the enemy's ships with the wind behind them. All morning they drew closer, as Cyrus and his men prepared for battle. When the sun was high in the sky, they clashed, and at that moment the wind dropped. Both fleets had to use oars, and at last there was only one enemy ship left, and Cyrus led the boarding party, which was to capture it. Sadly, Cyrus missed his footing, and with the weight of his armour he plunged into the depths of the Mediterranean, and there he would have stayed, if a friendly dolphin, seeing his plight, had not held his belt in its teeth and pulled him to the surface. Cyrus was taken aboard and soon recovered, and the fleet turned for home. The dolphin, happy with its new friend, followed them home and became a royal pet and the emblem of the Persians. Trojans and Spartans, your stories will follow.